In this recording, I'm going to talk about the style that I want you to use for your referencing. It's a style that might be different to those that you've used in the past. It's called the CSE style, which stands for the Council of Scientific Editors. It is used quite commonly in science journals, but not in humanities and social science journals. And so it may be one, say, that you're not familiar with. I find it a useful style because it actually minimizes the amount of punctuation and extra information that they place into the reference. And so it's sort of an efficient and space minimizing form of referencing. And as I say, we are going to keep using it. There is a document in the content part of Brightspace called CSE Citation Style, and that this has a summary of the various types of source that you might need to cite in your paper. And there's also a separate document that's just called Internet Resource Style, and that just gives a few examples of internet referencing. Internet referencing is by far the worst citations to have to do. It's much simpler and quicker to use journal citations. Okay, so the document that's in there, you can just bring that up. And because that looks so small, I'm going to go over and change that so that we can see it. Okay, larger in the document. So if you download it, you'll be able to see. So here's the CSE citations, and they call this the quick guide. It's 10 pages long, and there are most library sites will have a version of the various citation styles, which you can look up and find one that you like the best. There is a huge whole book on the actual style, and this is the manual, 7th edition, very large works. You do not need to get into this kind of detail. You should also notice that you're using the CSE name year style. Name year is for the information that's going to go into the parentheses within your paper. But we're not worried about that right now. The moment what we're worried about is the end of referencing style. And you will be practicing this through so many of the exercises that we're doing over the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to be asking you to give the reference in CSE style for all of the sources that you get along the way in the next 2 weeks. So then, as it says here, there are actually 3 types of CSE: name year, citation sequence, and citation name. Just concentrate on name year. Okay, so the best way to go to this is just to go down and look at the examples for the types of articles that you're likely to be referencing. Okay, so journals, magazines, and newspaper articles. Journal articles will be your primary source of references. Okay, and this is fairly simple. You put the author surname, the author initials, comma, the author surname, space, author initials, comma. Date of publication, article title, journal title, which will be abbreviated, volume number with the issue number in brackets, colon, page numbers. Okay, what this looks like in practice. We come down here. I'm not going to look at the online journals right now. I'm talking about print journals. And I strongly advise you to work with print journals first before you try and do the online journals. Okay, so journal article with one author. You have the surname, the initial, stop. Okay, there's no comma after, there's no other punctuation to the name. It's just surname, space, initial, stop. Date of publication, stop. Let's go back to the basic format. So author, date of publication, stop. So we've got article title, reduce lodging for soybeans in da 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 da. Okay, notice the title only has the first letter capitalized. The rest of the title is not capitalized unless it contains a proper noun. If this was reduced lodging in Alaska, then Alaska, of course, would be capitalized. But there's no other proper names, it's just all lowercase, stop. Then the journal title, which will be abbreviated, and I will demonstrate to you how you find the abbreviations later in this talk. And then volume number, parentheses, issue number, close parentheses, colon, and the page range. If there is no issue number, you just ignore that. Okay. We do not put the date in the end part. The date goes directly after the authors. The in-text citation that goes with this particular reference is board 2001. No comma, no other information, no initial, just surname, date. Now the formatting of the references should be, you can take care of it using RefWorks by putting all your references in RefWorks and then selecting CSE name year style, and it should come out correct. But you still need to check because those online referencing systems don't always do exactly what they're told to do. A journal article with more than one author is cited in this way: surname, initial, comma, surname, initial, comma, surname, initial, comma, surname, initial, and after the last author, stop, and then proceeds the same way as you've seen before. Date of publication, title, journal name, abbreviated, volume, issue number, colon, page range. The in-text citation for this, more than one author, more than two authors, would be the first name, Seva et al., 2009, and the date. Okay. If you get more than 10 authors, then you list the first 10 and then put and others or et al. In front of the 2009. You do not have to list all 50 authors of a sequencing paper or a cancer research study or something. After 10, you're done. You can stop. Okay. Again, I want you to notice the lack of extra ornamentation to this. Okay, there are no quotes around the title. The title is not italicized. It's not bold. This journal name also is not italicized. It's not bold. It's just everything is very basic and simple, and that's what your references should look like. Oh, here's showing the journal article with more than 10 authors. And we get all these authors et al. And off it goes. Okay. So the general rule is surname, space, initial, comma, unless it's the last author in the line where it's surname, space, initial, stop, and then into the rest of it. Okay. Now, if you are, and you probably will, retrieving a lot of your information online, then you can use a journal article reference as retrieved online with either with no DOI, document identifier, or with DOI, document identifier, and use these formats. Okay, so here I would like to go back to the generic. And so basic print format for print journals, basic format for online journals. Again, we have the author, the surname, space, initials, comma, surname, space, initials, last author we stop, date of publication, article title, journal title, square brackets, internet, square brackets, the date that you citing it, and then the rest of the journal citation, and then available from the URL and the document identifier. Okay, so back to the example. So here now we have author surname, shouldn't be a space between C and M there, that's a mistake. Comma, surname, initial comma, surname, initial stop, date, healthcare services, so title. Notice Canadian is capitalized as it should be. This must be the journal, Healthcare Women International. Internet in square brackets for the citation date, the journal reference, and then available from, and all of the information of the URL. Okay, now, if you have a journal article that you've retrieved online, you actually have the journal article reference, right? If you take out here internet and cited and all this, and just give the author's date, title, journal title, and the journal information, you have a correct normal print journal citation. That is perfectly fine for you to use. You do not need to use the online citation. Use the print journal citation. The whole purpose of a citation is that somebody reading it, the article, can go and find that information. Whether you find it online or by print journal is irrelevant. The point is that you can verify the statements that the paper author is making. And so as long as you can retrieve that paper from any source, that legitimate source, then that is correct. So I would strongly advise you to use journal article, print articles, references as much as possible. It will not be completely possible because I suspect that you probably will use some online references and have to use the online reference format then. But if you can, use regular journal articles format. Okay, for moving on through the types of references, they have examples of how to use magazine articles, newspaper articles, books, chapters, all different possibilities. But I find for the most part, people hardly ever use these other sources. But just notice that they do exist. If you want to cite a chapter in an edited book, an electronic book, an encyclopedia article, conference proceedings, papers, multi-volumes, now here's where you will want to probably use it. Web documents, okay. Basic format, these become problematic, okay. Title of homepage, internet, in square brackets, date of publication, edition, pace of publication, publisher, etc. Often it is very hard to know what the title of a homepage is. You know, if, for example, if you're looking at a university webpage for a research group where you've gone to the principal investigator is Dr. Jonas. Is the title of the webpage Dr. Jonas Research? Is the title of the webpage what's up in the corner, Department of Biochemistry, research professors? Is the title of the web page what's in another corner, which says, you know, University of Chicago? You have to do some best judgment in those cases. Also, it's often very hard to find the date of publication. So what I say for these things is do the very best you can. Put all the information down that you can. If I then correct it and say that you don't have this information and you've tried to get it, then just write me a little note next time on the draft saying, I tried, it's not there. Because, as I say, you cannot get full information a lot of the time, especially with sort of popular websites. They just don't format themselves in this fashion. In the reference list, you can put in, I mean, this is assuming that all this information is available, but here's an example of a web reference in the list. Here's an example of a web page with a personal author, so somebody who's writing commentary on a particular thing. You may use video sources, it's more unlikely. And then in the case that you have personal information from someone where it's not written down any place, so for example, if during an internship you got personal information from a ranger at an environmental station, it is possible to use personal represent communication within the text. It's not recommended. It's better to just say something like this, that you had you got personal information. That type of information obviously does not carry the credibility of a published report, but it can sometimes be useful in building your argument. Okay, so we will go over this many times, but it is something that it takes a little bit of effort to get to the point of having, being really comfortable with this format. But once you do, then it becomes easy and you should be able to move along with it very rapidly. And I strongly recommend doing this right from the beginning. Then you don't have to keep going back over and getting your references corrected. There's really no reason why they can't be done fairly easily. Okay, so finally, go back to sharing the, no, I don't want that, I want that one. Okay, so I'm going back to looking up science journal abbreviations, and okay. Okay, so looking for science but journal abbreviations. Again, there's many different websites where you can get the same information. Personally, I usually use this Web of Knowledge. And in here, you will find every single journal abbreviation, pretty much. So if I want to find, and if it's a single word like cell or science or nature, there won't be an abbreviation. You get abbreviations for longer names. So, for example, if I want to find a journal, biochemical and biophysical research communications, for example. So, what? So biochemical. And again, you could probably find this by going to the journal site online as well. But in here, biochemical and biophysical research communications. So if I had a reference which the article came from this journal, I would put biochem, biophys, res co, not biochemical and biophysical research communications. So any journal, I think only once had a student find a journal that wasn't listed in here. Any journal that you don't know, many of them are easy, like Journal of Ecology, J, Ecol, Journal of Chemistry, J, Chem, Journal of Biological Chemistry, J, Biolchem. There are a lot of them that are pretty much obvious, but others are not as obvious, and you can look them up here. And this is your source of all journal abbreviations. So again, just I could give you a link, but I mean, it's just so easy. Just type into Google Science Journal abbreviation list, come up. If you want to bookmark it, so you can use it in the future. Or the reference program should actually do this for you. But again, often it's a good idea to check, make sure that what the reference program is doing for you is correct. You cannot assume that it's your job. You're responsible for having a correct, accurate reference list. Okay, as I said, this is something that we will go over in individual meetings. So make sure that you get the hang of this. If you have any questions from this presentation, save them for then. And I look forward to meeting you all on Thursday.